Well, you know what's funny is people who share their goals and their ambitions and so on and so forth share it with the wrong people. The people who don't have ambition, who don't have goals, or who are afraid, so they prevent you from moving on. Would you say that's when you're talking to people, is that a big thing?
100%. I mean, that's an energy vampire. And you start to realize that you can't share certain stuff with certain people because they're just not going to understand. Like, it was
Now,
pretty
who are
funny.
who are who are those people? Because a lot of people always think it's some friend outsider. Most of the time, it's people in your own family, in your own life that
Yeah, I
prevent
mean,
you.
so for me, like growing up, my parents always wanted me to get the job. And then once I got the job, they're like, "Why are you doing all this extra stuff? Like, just go have fun." And my parents are amazing, by the way. I just want to note
Yeah,
that.
yeah, oh
But
yeah.
there was a period of time where they're like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you doing all this? Why don't you just go climb the bank's ladder and be happy? You'll have a great life, a great career." And I have a lot of friends that did that, but for me, I was like, it's not optimal for the life I want to have. I'm sitting around looking at people on the team and I'm like, I don't know that they're that happy. I don't know that this is the type of life I want or desire. And I sat there and I go, I have the ability here to have everything paid for by this one job. And I can do other stuff outside of that job because it wasn't a super high level position. And it allowed me to meet so many incredible people, learn so many incredible things that I started my own group. Like, you know what I mean? I did my own learning and you get around the people. And that's really where the podcast started. I started the podcast back in 2020, hashtag clocked in. And in my first 10 episodes, I interviewed the founder of Reebok. And I was like, how is this even? And I just sent him a DM on Instagram. I was like, hey, like, you want to come on my podcast? And it was this guy, he's like 80 something, Joseph Foster, and his wife, Julie. They're very, very nice. We actually met them in Orlando, actually, probably near you. We probably all should have got together.
Yeah,
But
got a
we
few
had,
secrets.
but I met with them. And the crazy thing was, he sat there and he goes, yeah, I got to interview you to see if you're serious. And at this time, I had nothing. There's literally like 5 episodes. I'm like, serious? Yeah. So we hop on the pre call, and this was before like the recording. So I actually recorded the call because I'm like, if he tells me no, like, I can't let my grandkids know I had a conversation with the founder of Reebok and didn't happen. We ended up doing the podcast, and then he's like, oh, Jordan, do you know anybody else? And but at that time, I literally met two of the biggest business podcasts. So I did quick intros, and now we're all close because it like I provided value to them because I knew the opportunity he gave me. So it's this whole idea of you can create whatever life you want, but you have to put yourself out there. And the reason I started doing the podcast interviewing people was because I wanted to learn from them. I sat there and I had some people on where they charge $50,000 an hour. And I go,
Phew.
I got a free hour. This is fantastic.
So let me get this straight. When you did this, though, you didn't, like most people, like quit everything, their job, everything. Now they're really broke. So you still kept your job, but on that extra time that you had, you said, well, let me start small, which with Reeboks, that's not small. But you did put yourself out there, which people are afraid to do because they're afraid of the big what? No.
Judgment. Yeah.
No's.
And the
But you,
no's. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing was for me though, my why was much bigger than that. At that point, I was 24, 25, and I sat there and I thought to myself, I go, what's the worst case scenario? No one sees it, one. And then two, I meet some incredible people. And then even bigger than that, I have something to show my grandkids. No, at this point, I'm not married. I'm not engaged. I'm married now, but we don't have any kids. I don't have any grandkids. And it's like, I was just thinking so far in the future. I was like, hey, YouTube's going to be around a long time, or these videos will be on my computer or somewhere. It would be awesome to show them all the people I spoke to. Because I sit there and ask my parents, hey, what are you doing at 25? And they're like, oh, I had this job, I had this thing. And I get the phones weren't as relevant back then, but I'm
right.
still like, I want to see it. Like, I want to experience it. So it's been really eye opening for me. And that's why I give you so much credit for doing this show because you sit there and like, you didn't grow up with the phone. You mentioned a couple times you're like I have trouble with the tech, but I know the value I'm providing to people, overdoes that. So that's why I'm really, really proud of you doing it.
Well, I love doing it because my mission was to always help others. And then when I see people like you who actually are doing it, I want people to understand it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter that you have, you got to be 45, 50, 60 and have all this experience behind you. You're young now. You can make a lot of discoveries if you have to at this point, but you can also put yourself out there and you're still going to live long enough to get over a couple of the no's, because that one yes is going to make a big difference. So you put yourself out there. And how did you approach this gentleman? I mean, what was the hook? I mean, when he picked up the phone and said hello, what did you say? I'm
Well, it
doing this.
wasn't even like that. It wasn't even like that. It was interesting because I saw that he went on someone else's Joseph Foster. I saw he went on someone else's podcast and they tagged his Instagram. So I just been doing this all on social media. So I went on his Instagram. I looked. He had under 1,000 followers. I'm like, this is the founder of Reebok. This is something's messed up. And then I realized I'm like, I caught this early. I found this person early where he might look for an opportunity. And that's where I sent the message. I was like, hey, I have a podcast. I'm a big fan. And at that point, I had Ron Jaworski on Jaws. I had him come on the podcast. So I just referenced the past people I had. And I was like, I'd love to have you on. And it's funny because his wife actually runs his social media and everything. So his wife responds. We schedule the call. We hop on. And I just focused on him. I just focused on the other person. And that's what the podcast has given me so much awareness on, because I can get excited and talk a lot. So I realized that if I focus on the other people, everyone wants to share their journey. Everyone wants to share their story. It's not about who listens. It's about the true connection that you're making with that person. And if one person learns something from it, fantastic. And the way a lot of this works now is you get the content, you clip it up, you put it on all these platforms. I'm letting you know more than one person's going to see it. Like it'll work itself out, but it doesn't have to be that value prop. It just has to be, hey, I'd love an hour of your time. And at that point, interesting enough, like you're saying, if I just asked him, hey, can I get on the phone with you for 30 minutes? He would say no. I've had so many guests that were like, I'd say no in a heartbeat. But you say, you want to come on my podcast? You want to meet my audience? They're like, yes. It is the biggest hack for intro calls. It is my go-to. If there's someone I really want to connect with, I go intro call. I don't say intro call. I just say, hey, you want to come on my podcast? And people are like, oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
they're honored. Yeah, they're all of a sudden on your podcast. Yeah, I love it. It's funny that you do say that, because even when I was at the book awards, I was trying to meet some interesting authors and getting to know their books, and a lot of them are really interpersonal, but there's a lot that are intrapersonal. They're good at writing, but they're not good at explaining, what
Yeah.
they wrote about and so on and so forth. But soon as I would say, hey, I would like to know what you wrote about, and I would like to, visit your book because I'd love to have you on my podcast. All of a sudden, yeah, the light bulbs all just, your podcast? Oh yeah, I would love to be. And I'm getting emails now saying, hey, when we gonna get together for the podcast. But you did the podcast, you started that, but then you worked your way into coaching, or were you a
So
coach before the podcast?
yeah, so I was doing the coaching before the podcast. So what ended up happening was I was my first client. Like I was doing myself because I sat here and I've showed it to you before, but I can explain it to the audience. So what I realized was to live an exceptional life, there's 5 pillars. It's mental health, physical health, community service, philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. That's just
Say
for
that
me.
again. Say that again slowly though, so they can get that.
Yeah, so there's 5 pillars, and this is for me at Edwards Consulting. It's mental health, physical health, community service philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. And the reason I did this was because what I realized is that if you look at Tony Robbins, you look at any of these top people, they or any incredible people on their own, they all have a framework for how they live and a way they make decisions. So what I realized was I needed a 5-year vision. I needed something super captivating. And then I needed a 1-year vision because in 5 years we could really blow it out of the water, but in 1 year we can actually work towards those goals. And then you have the 5 pillars, and I would see where people are at today and where I was at, and then what a 10 might look like in those different areas. And I was doing this with myself on a monthly basis. And then I would come up with 3 to 5 12-week goals and then goals of the week. So, like, for example, when this all started, I had 3 goals. It was one, because I vividly remember this. It was New Year's 2018 going into 2019, because I sat there and I learned that in New Year's, 95% of goals are done by February. And I was like, why is that? And it's because they have the big goal. Like, the 3 for me were run a marathon, and I never ran more than like 5 miles at that point, pass all 4 sections of the CPA, and start a business. And those are all admirable 1 year goals, but you can't do them in a day. So you have to break down the action steps, and then you have to have accountability, whether it's yourself, whether it's a partner, whether it's an outside coach, doesn't matter. You need accountability. And so what I did was, with the marathon, it's very simple. You can run 3 miles, you can run 5 miles, you can run 7, you follow a plan.
Can
The
you drive
CPA
them? I don't like running, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I like that one. It was funny when I started the marathon, I ran up to 7 miles for the first like
Wow.
4 months. And I was just doing 7 miles a week just to maintain, because I wasn't ready to commit, because I didn't know where I was committing to. And then I chose a marathon that I was like, this would be awesome. And it was the Lake Tahoe Marathon. So I'm in Tampa, Florida. Lake Tahoe is at like 5,000 elevation. I'm like, I can do this. And I started training. But like, one of my goals was pick a marathon, purchase the ticket, go purchase the flight. Then you start training. It's breaking these things down into little action steps that help you get there. And for me, that once I did all this, and I want to note, I failed the CPA, but I started the coaching business. And how I started that was just, I went to a conference, got around different people. Like you just said, you went to the amazing award ceremony, and you get around different people. And I started realizing everyone was selling, and I had nothing to sell at that point. So I go, I'm got the accounting degree, working at a bank, really into financial literacy. I should help people with their finances. So that's how I started it. Now, what ended up happening was it attracted a lot of people who had a lot of student loan debt, a lot of credit card debt, which you help them, but they weren't the most qualified client for that life development because they were so stressed on their finances. So you would meet with them, then so it's been so many iterations where at first it was one-off meetings, then I started moving to a group dynamic, then I started doing programs, and it's just been an evolution, but you have to start.